is a power that few people understand, a power that doesn't shout, doesn't demand attention, and doesn't prove itself with force. It is silent, patient, and unstoppable. This power lives within you, the power to control your mind, to master your emotions, and to remain unshaken when the world tries to pull you apart. Most people spend their lives reacting, letting anger, fear, and frustration dictate their decisions. They give their peace away to every insult, every criticism, every unexpected challenge. But the person who understands the power of not reacting discovers a strength far greater than any argument, conflict, or circumstance. They discover that silence can be louder than shouting, patience stronger than force, and calmness more commanding than chaos. Imagine walking through life untouched by the storms around you. Imagine facing criticism without anger, failure without despair, and setbacks without panic. Imagine a mind so disciplined that no insult, no provocation, no unexpected challenge can shake your inner balance. That is the power of not reacting, the ultimate mastery over yourself, and the key to becoming unshakable, unstoppable, and truly free. In this journey, you will learn how to take control of your emotions, redirect your energy, and rise above the chaos that traps most people in frustration, regret, and weakness. This is not a theory. This is a practice. And the moment you start mastering it, everything in your life begins to change. There is a kind of strength that most people overlook because it doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't shout, argue, or try to prove a point. It simply observes, waits, and acts only when necessary. That strength is the power of emotional control. In a world where everyone reacts instantly, where anger, pride, and ego drive behavior, the one who remains calm becomes rare, almost mysterious. Most people live their lives as prisoners of their reactions. They allow every word, every judgment, every circumstance to pivot all their emotions like strings on a puppet. They explode when they're criticized, withdraw when they're ignored, and lose balance when life doesn't go their way. But true power doesn't react. It responds. It doesn't need to fight for attention because it already owns the silence. When you choose not to react, you are not surrendering, you are ascending, you are no longer controlled by the temporary chaos of the moment. You are observing from a higher ground. Every time you refuse to react emotionally, you protect your energy. You save your peace. And in that peace lies the foundation of strength, because calmness is clarity. When you are calm, you see what others cannot. You see motives, patterns, and truths hidden behind noise. The angry mind can't see clearly. The emotional mind can't think rationally. But the calm mind, it becomes a weapon, sharp, focused, unstoppable. Think about how many times emotional reactions have stolen peace, how often anger has created regret, how often overreaction has built walls instead of bridges. People destroy relationships, opportunities, and inner stability simply because they cannot control their emotions. They want to win the argument but lose their peace. They want to express their pain but end up feeding their weakness. The truth is, emotion is not the enemy. The lack of control is. Power doesn't come from having no emotion. It comes from mastering it. The greatest strength a person can display is remaining unshaken when everything around them tries to provoke a storm within. When you learn the power of not reacting, you become dangerous in the best way, because nothing can disturb your balance. You stop giving others the remote control to your emotions. You stop allowing the world to decide how you feel. People may insult you, but you won't lose your calm. Circumstances may shift, but you won't lose your center. You will walk through chaos with the stillness of a mountain. That kind of presence changes everything. It makes people sense your confidence without you saying a word. It makes your silence louder than anyone shouting. The calm person always wins because they operate from clarity. They don't speak to defend their ego. They speak when it matters. They don't act to prove something. They act with purpose. This restraint creates a different kind of power, one built on patience and awareness. And over time, this discipline transforms your life. It makes you emotionally bulletproof. You stop falling apart over things you can't control. You stop chasing validation from people who don't matter. You begin to understand that your peace is your responsibility, not something others should protect for you. Every moment you resist the urge to react, you evolve. You train your mind to lead, not follow. You train your emotions to obey reason, not impulse. You begin to feel the quiet confidence that comes from self-command. And in that stillness, you realize something profound. Calmness isn't weakness, it's control. The one who stays calm under pressure is the one who holds the power in any situation. So the next time life throws chaos at you, remember that reacting gives it strength. Staying calm takes it away. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to answer every provocation. Sometimes silence and stillness are the loudest forms of power, because when you stop reacting, you stop losing. And when you stop losing yourself to emotion, you start winning everything that truly matters. The greatest battle you will ever fight will not be against another person, circumstance, or obstacle. It will be against yourself. The real enemy is not outside of you. It lives within you. It is the part of you that reacts without thinking, that wants to argue when insulted, to prove your worth when doubted, to defend yourself when misunderstood. This enemy feeds on your emotions, on your fears, and on your insecurities. It makes you believe that reacting is strength, that silence is weakness, and that control is surrender. But that is the greatest lie your emotions will ever tell you. True strength is not in reacting. It is in choosing not to. The moment you can look at provocation, temptation, or chaos and remain calm, you have defeated the enemy within. Because the person who can control their inner world will never be destroyed by the outer one. When you react to every word, every action, or every situation, you are handing over your power. You allow others to control you without even realizing it. The truth is, no one can make you angry, no one can make you upset, no one can disturb your peace unless you give them permission to. Every reaction is an act of surrender. When you lose your temper, you lose your control. When you let someone push your buttons, you give them the authority to dictate your emotions. But when you pause, breathe, and stay centered, you reclaim that authority. You stop being a puppet of emotion and become a master of choice. The person who controls how they feel, regardless of what happens, holds the ultimate power. Because emotions are temporary, but the decisions made in emotion can have permanent consequences. It takes deep awareness to recognize that the real fight is not about proving yourself right. It's about keeping your peace intact. Every argument, every emotional reaction, every moment of rage, these are traps designed to drag you into mental chaos. The world will always test you, not to break you, but to reveal how much of yourself you have truly mastered. Most people think winning a fight means overpowering the other. But the real victory is remaining calm when your ego screams for attention. The real victory is not reacting when your mind demands revenge. The real victory is choosing peace when everything inside you craves war. That is when you rise above ordinary human nature and enter the realm of inner mastery. Remember, emotional control is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of understanding. You will still feel anger, frustration, disappointment, and pain. But instead of being driven by those emotions, you observe them. You allow them to pass through you without letting them command you. That's the essence of strength. Anyone can react. It takes true power to remain calm. Anyone can explode. It takes wisdom to stay grounded. The one who can stand still in the middle of provocation has already won the invisible war, because the enemy within, the impulsive, reactive self, no longer rules. And once that inner enemy is conquered, no external force can defeat you. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause and remember, the real enemy is not the person who offended you. It's the part of you that wants to lose control. Every time you stay calm, you're not avoiding conflict. You're building power. You're proving to yourself that nothing and no one can dictate your emotional state. The calm mind is the highest form of strength because it doesn't depend on others to remain at peace. It draws power from within, from awareness, from self-discipline. Conquer the enemy inside and you will walk through life untouchable. No insult, no chaos, no darkness will have power over you again. Every reaction has a price, and that price is far higher than most people realize. Every time you react impulsively, you spend your energy, your focus, your inner calm. You may not see it immediately, but emotional reactions drain your strength slowly, silently. You end up tired, distracted, and frustrated, wondering why peace always feels so far away. Every outburst steals a piece of your power. Every moment of anger clouds your clarity. When you allow emotions to take control, your mind becomes unstable, your decisions become irrational, and your life begins to spin in circles. Reaction is not just a moment of weakness, it's a habit that slowly eats away at your potential. You can't move forward when your energy is always being spent on meaningless reactions. The cost of reaction is too high because it robs you of the only thing that creates real progress, mental control. The truth is, reacting emotionally to everything puts you in a constant state of survival. You are always defending, explaining, proving, and fighting. Your mind is never at rest, and when your mind is restless, your vision becomes blurred. You start to make decisions out of fear instead of wisdom, out of pain instead of logic. You may think you are standing up for yourself, but what you are really doing is surrendering your inner peace. When your emotions drive your behavior, your life becomes unpredictable. You start building your path based on temporary feelings instead of long-term goals. And what happens when those emotions fade? Regret arrives. The calm moment after an outburst always brings the painful awareness that it wasn't worth it, because no victory gained through reaction is ever real. Those who cannot control their reactions are constantly enslaved by the moods of others. They are happy when others approve, angry when others criticize, confident when others praise, and broken when others ignore them. Their state of mind depends entirely on the world around them. But those who learn emotional control are free. They don't let outside circumstances dictate how they feel inside. They know that power lies not in controlling others, but in controlling themselves. The ability to stay calm in a storm doesn't make you emotionless, it makes you effective. You save your strength for what truly matters. You stop wasting your life on things that don't deserve your attention. Reaction also blinds you to opportunities. When you are emotional, you don't see clearly. You miss solutions hidden in plain sight. You burn bridges that could have led you to success. But a calm mind sees differently. It sees patterns, it sees timing, it sees possibilities. That's why emotional control is not just about peace, it's about progress. Every calm decision you make strengthens your mind. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, you build mental muscle. You train your brain to think before acting, to evaluate before responding. And that discipline compounds over time, transforming chaos into clarity. If you want to succeed in any area of life, you must learn to protect your mental energy like it's gold, because it is. Every reaction is a withdrawal from your account of focus. Spend too much of it on anger, gossip, or negativity, and you'll have nothing left for growth, creation, or vision. The most powerful people are not those who react the fastest. They are those who can stay composed the longest. They understand that calmness is control and control is freedom. So the next time you feel triggered, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? Most of the time, the answer will be no, because peace is too precious to be wasted on momentary emotion. Emotional discipline is the art of protecting your focus from being stolen by reaction. And that is how you begin to master your destiny. Between what happens to you and how you respond to it, there is always a small space, a pause. Most people don't see it. They move too fast, reacting before they even understand what's happening. But that tiny pause holds the key to freedom. It's the invisible moment where your destiny can change. In that pause, you can choose not to react impulsively. You can choose to breathe, to think, to respond from strength instead of emotion. The weak react instantly because they are ruled by impulse. The strong pause because they are ruled by awareness. That pause is the difference between chaos and control, between losing power and gaining it. Every time you take that pause, you prove that you are not a slave to your emotions. You are the master of them. Learning to pause before reacting is a sign of deep inner maturity. It means you've developed the ability to separate feeling from action. You might still feel anger, frustration, or pain, but you no longer allow those feelings to dictate your behavior. You become an observer of your emotions, not their prisoner. In that observation, you gain control. You begin to understand that feelings are temporary, but actions have lasting consequences. The more you practice this, the more powerful that pause becomes. It transforms from hesitation into strength. It gives you the ability to respond from wisdom, not weakness. You start living with purpose, not with impulse. The power of the pause also rewires your mind. Neuroscientists have found that when you stop reacting automatically, you weaken the emotional circuits that trigger impulsive behavior. You literally reshape your brain to favor calmness, clarity, and discipline. Every time you hold your reaction, you are training your mind to handle life storms with balance. You are teaching yourself that you don't have to act on every feeling. You can feel deeply and still stay in control. This kind of mental training doesn't just protect your peace, it strengthens your confidence. You begin to realize that nothing and no one can take away your power unless you hand it to them. The pause also gives you perspective. When you react instantly, you only see the surface of the situation, the insult, the problem, the pain. But when you pause, you give yourself time to see the truth behind it. You start to notice that most people's actions come from their own pain or confusion. You begin to see that the world isn't trying to attack you, it's just expressing its own chaos. That understanding brings compassion, and compassion brings peace. It's not about letting people walk over you, it's about choosing not to let them walk through your mind. Imagine what would happen if you could pause every time life tested you. If you could think before responding, breathe before speaking, observe before deciding. That single habit would change your entire reality. You would stop creating unnecessary problems. You would begin to act from wisdom instead of reaction. You walk through the world with quiet confidence, unbothered by noise and negativity. Every pause becomes a reminder that you are in control. Every pause is proof that you have evolved beyond the chaos of impulse. The one who can pause can lead. The one who can wait can win, because power doesn't come from speed, it comes from awareness. And in that small, sacred pause between emotion and action lies the secret to self-mastery, peace, and unstoppable strength. Intelligence is often mistaken for knowledge, quick thinking, or academic skill, but real intelligence goes much deeper. It is the ability to understand and manage your emotions and the emotions of others. This is what we call emotional intelligence, and it is one of the most powerful forms of strength a person can possess. Emotional intelligence is not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally aware and intentional. It allows you to navigate life with calm precision instead of chaotic reaction. The person who can master their emotions can lead not just others, but themselves. They move with control, speak with purpose, and act with balance. Their energy commands respect not because they demand it, but because their composure radiates power. Without emotional intelligence, people become victims of their own feelings. They let anger control their words, fear control their actions, and sadness control their mindset. They live like leaves blown by the wind, constantly moved by circumstances. But emotional intelligence builds roots. It anchors you. You start to see emotions not as forces to be feared, but as signals to be understood. Anger tells you where your boundaries are being crossed. Fear reveals where you lack confidence. Sadness shows you what matters to you. Every emotion becomes a message, guiding you, teaching you, shaping you. When you learn to listen instead of react, you stop being at war with yourself. You stop wasting energy fighting emotions and start using them to grow stronger. The greatest power of emotional intelligence lies in awareness. It's the ability to pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? Why do I feel this way? That question turns emotional chaos into clarity. It creates a gap between you and your reaction, allowing your mind to lead instead of your emotions. Emotional awareness gives you control over the energy you project. You stop saying things you don't mean. You stop doing things you'll regret. You start communicating with intention and responding with understanding. People who master this skill don't need to dominate others. They influence them through calmness, empathy, and self-control. This type of power is rare because most people avoid their emotions. They bury pain, hide fear, and pretend to be strong while breaking inside. But real strength is facing your emotions without letting them rule you. It's being honest about what you feel, but disciplined in how you express it. Emotional intelligence allows you to feel deeply while still thinking clearly. It teaches you that calmness doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care intelligently. When you act with emotional awareness, your life stops being reactionary and becomes intentional. You stop living in survival mode and start living in creation mode. The person who develops emotional intelligence becomes unstoppable because nothing catches them off guard. They understand that life is full of triggers, tests, and challenges, but none of them have power unless they lose control. Emotional intelligence is self-protection. It's the invisible armor that shields you from manipulation, conflict, and unnecessary pain. When you know how to read your emotions, you can read others. When you can read others, you can handle any situation with grace. And that is true mastery, not the ability to avoid emotion, but the ability to direct it toward progress. The one who understands emotion commands reality, because emotion is energy, and when you can guide that energy, you can shape you. Entire life. Your emotions are not the enemy. They are powerful sources of energy waiting to be directed. Anger, sadness, frustration, fear, these feelings are signals, raw power in their purest form. The problem begins when that power is wasted through reaction instead of transformation. Most people burn their energy in moments of rage or despair, never realizing that those same emotions could have fueled extraordinary growth. Anger, for example, is not just fury, it's fire. It can destroy or it can build. When channeled correctly, it becomes the energy that pushes you to break limits, to improve, to fight for something meaningful. Every emotion carries a frequency, and if you can learn to shift that frequency from destruction to creation, you can turn pain into power. The key is not to suppress your emotions, but to understand them. Suppression leads to explosion. What you ignore eventually controls you. But when you face your emotions with awareness, you begin to redirect them. You learn how to turn pain into reflection, fear into courage, and frustration into discipline. Instead of letting emotion dictate your behavior, you let it become the fuel that drives your purpose. The most successful people aren't emotionless. They're emotionally alchemic. They have learned how to convert chaos into clarity, how to turn inner turbulence into motivation. They don't deny their emotions. They train them, channel them, and use them to grow stronger. Every time you experience an intense emotion, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads to reaction, where you explode, argue, quit, or break down. The other path leads to transformation, where you use that same emotion as a force to rise higher. Imagine turning your anger into laser focus, your fear into preparation, your disappointment into hunger for improvement. The energy is already there. The choice of direction determines your destiny. The difference between people who fall and those who rise isn't the presence of emotion. It's the control of it. Those who rise have learned to let their emotions move through them, not rule them. You must train yourself to see emotion as information. When something triggers you, instead of reacting, ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That question changes everything. Anger might teach you about your boundaries. Sadness might remind you of what you truly value. Fear might show you where you need more courage or preparation. When you look at emotions this way, they stop being your enemies and start becoming your teachers. And when you use what they teach you, you begin to move with purpose instead of impulse. You no longer waste energy fighting what you feel. You use it to create change. Remember this, energy is never lost. It's only transferred. Every time you choose not to react, you save power. Every time you redirect that energy into growth, you multiply power. The greatest minds, leaders, and creators in history have all shared one common ability: the power to turn emotional energy into focus and creation. You can do the same. When something angers you, work harder. When something scares you, prepare deeper. When something hurts you, learn faster. That's how transformation happens, not by escaping emotion, but by evolving through it. So stop fighting your feelings. Start guiding them. Your emotions are energy. Control the energy and you control your world. Detachment is not about being cold or indifferent. It is not about refusing to care or walking through life without emotion. True detachment is power, the kind of power that allows you to remain calm even when everything around you demands chaos. It's the ability to feel deeply but not drown in those feelings. It's caring without clinging, acting without obsessing, loving without losing yourself. Detachment doesn't mean disconnection. It means control. It means you can observe the situation clearly because your vision isn't blurred by emotion or ego. When you practice detachment, you stop react. Impulsively. You stop giving your peace away to every circumstance, every opinion, every outcome. You begin to see that not everything deserves a response. Not everything requires your energy. You start to understand that your power lies in what you choose to engage with and what you choose to let go. When you are detached, you become impossible to manipulate. The world can't control you through praise or criticism because neither defines you anymore. You stop chasing validation because you realize your worth doesn't depend on anyone's approval. You stop fearing loss because you understand that what truly belongs to you cannot be taken away. Detachment gives you emotional independence, and that independence makes you unshakable. You can love people deeply but not be destroyed by their absence. You can face challenges but not be consumed by them. You can deal with failure but not let it define your identity. This kind of freedom is rare, and it comes only when you stop attaching your peace to things you cannot control. Most people live in emotional slavery because they are attached to outcomes. They expect things to go their way, and when life moves differently, they suffer. They tie their happiness to people, places, possessions, or achievements. And when any of those things shift, their peace collapses. Detachment breaks that pattern. It teaches you to find peace not in control, but in acceptance. You start to trust the flow of life instead of fighting it. You start to see that your value doesn't change when circumstances do. And this mindset creates strength beyond measure. Because while the attached mind breaks easily, the detached mind bends and adapts. It becomes flexible, powerful, and calm. Detachment also sharpens your focus. When you are attached to results, fear and anxiety cloud your decisions, but when you act with detachment, you do what's right without obsessing over the outcome. You give your best effort and release the rest. That release gives you clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. You stop wasting time on what you can't control and pour your energy into what you can. You stop reacting to distractions and start building direction. Detachment, therefore, isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's how you take command of your emotional world while moving powerfully in the external one. The beauty of detachment is that it doesn't numb you, it empowers you. It allows you to enjoy life fully because you're not afraid of losing what you have. You can appreciate everything without being possessed by anything. You can be passionate without being desperate. You can pursue greatness without being enslaved by the outcome. That balance makes you peaceful and powerful at the same time. Detachment gives you space to think, to breathe, to grow. And when you reach that state, life no longer controls you. You control how you experience life. That's the discipline of detachment, the art of being fully present, fully alive, and completely in control of your emotions no matter what comes your way. BR discipline is not punishment, it's liberation. It's the quiet strength that separates the dreamers from the doers. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act, but those who truly transform their lives understand that motivation is fleeting. Discipline, however, is permanent. Discipline doesn't care about how you feel, it only cares about who you are becoming. When you develop inner discipline, you no longer wait for the perfect moment, you create it. You get up when your mind screams for rest. You stay focused when distractions try to steal your attention. You act with consistency even when progress feels invisible. Discipline trains your mind to obey your higher purpose instead of your temporary emotions. And that is where real transformation begins. Because without discipline, your dreams remain fantasies, and your potential stays trapped in the prison of comfort. Inner discipline is not built in one day. It's a daily practice of SE. Respect. It begins with small promises kept to yourself. When you tell yourself you'll wake up early, and you do, it builds trust. When you say you'll finish a task and see it through, your confidence grows. Every act of self-discipline strengthens your inner foundation, and eventually your mind begins to understand that your word means something. Most people destroy their self-esteem by constantly breaking promises to themselves. They say they'll change, but never do. They plan to evolve, but always delay. The disciplined person is different. They don't rely on willpower alone. They create systems that support their growth. They build routines that serve their goals. They understand that discipline is not a feeling. It's a decision repeated every single day until it becomes who you are. Discipline transforms chaos into clarity. When your life feels scattered and overwhelming, discipline gives you structure. It eliminates noise and focuses your energy. It forces you to prioritize what truly matters and to let go of what doesn't. Through discipline, you learn that freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about having the power to do what you must. True freedom is the ability to command yourself, to say no to weakness, to say yes to what's hard but necessary. Discipline is the art of mastering yourself so the world cannot master you. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you expand your strength. You prove to yourself that you are not a slave to laziness or fear. You are the architect of your destiny. Discipline also sharpens your emotional control. It teaches patience in the face of frustration, calm in the presence of chaos, and perseverance when the results take time. Most people quit not because they're incapable, but because they lack emotional discipline. They expect progress to be immediate, and when it isn't, they surrender. But those who are disciplined endure the process. They understand that growth requires endurance, not speed. They accept the grind because they know that every disciplined act compounds into greatness. The disciplined mind is not easily broken because it has learned to endure pressure without losing direction. Ultimately, discipline is self-love in its highest form. It's loving yourself enough to do what's hard today for the peace you'll feel tomorrow. It's respecting your purpose enough to protect it from your impulses. Discipline is not about restriction. It's about elevation. It's the foundation of every great success story and the silent force behind every remarkable transformation. When you master discipline, you master life. Because the world doesn't reward desire, it rewards discipline. The person who trains their mind to stay consistent, no matter the emotion, becomes unstoppable. And when that happens, you no longer hope for change. You embody it. That is the power of inner discipline. Peace is not the absence of challenges, conflict, or chaos. It is the presence of control within the storm. Most people search for peace outside themselves, thinking it exists in quiet places, perfect circumstances, or approval from others. But true peace comes from mastery over your own mind, mastery over your emotions, and mastery over your reactions. Life will never stop testing you. People will insult you, opportunities will vanish, failures will occur, and unexpected challenges will arise. If you allow these circumstances to control your inner world, you will forever chase a peace that is impossible to find. But when you learn to cultivate peace from within, no external force can disturb it. Peace becomes a shield, a foundation, and a source of unstoppable strength. Inner peace is not passive. It is an active choice made every single moment. Every time you resist the urge to react, you protect it. Every time you pause, observe, and respond intentionally, you reinforce it. People mistake peace for weakness because it does not shout or dominate. But in truth, peace is the ultimate form of power. A calm mind sees solutions where chaos sees obstacles. A patient mind finds opportunities where others see only failure. A disciplined mind creates progress where impulsive minds create mistakes. Peace allows you to act with clarity, strategy, and purpose. It allows you to conserve your energy for what truly matters, instead of wasting it on fleeting conflicts that only drain you. The people who maintain peace in the midst of turmoil are often the ones who achieve the greatest success. They don't react to every provocation, every insult, every setback. They do not allow temporary frustrations to dictate permanent decisions. Instead, they remain centered, evaluating the situation from a higher perspective. That calmness attracts clarity, allies, and opportunity. It turns potential threats into lessons and obstacles into stepping stones. Peace allows you to move through life unshaken, making decisions based on wisdom rather than impulse. And the more you practice this state of calm, the stronger and more resilient you become, Dr. Peace is also a form of self-respect. It signals to the world that you are not controlled by trivialities, that your energy is too valuable to be spent on unnecessary battles. It shows that you understand your power lies in your mind, not in the reaction of others. When you cultivate inner peace, you create space for growth, creativity, and focus. You stop chasing validation and start building self-reliance. You stop reacting to chaos and start shaping your own life. And in that calm, grounded state, you gain a perspective that few ever achieve, a perspective that allows you to see life clearly, act intentionally, and live without unnecessary conflict. Ultimately, peace is not just an emotional state, it is the ultimate weapon. The person who can remain calm in the storm cannot be controlled, manipulated, or distracted. Nothing outside themselves can disturb their balance. Peace gives you strength that is invisible but undeniable. It makes your PR. Essence commanding without aggression. It allows you to endure hardships without bitterness, to face challenges without fear, and to achieve greatness without chaos. The true power of peace is that it comes from within, and it can never be taken unless you willingly give it away. Master your inner calm, and you master everything that truly matters. The true warrior is not measured by how many battles they fight or how loud they are in the world. It is measured by their mastery over themselves. A warrior of calm does not seek conflict. They command life from a place of inner strength. Most people believe strength comes from aggression, reaction, or domination. But the highest form of strength is restraint. The warrior of calm understands this truth deeply. They know that reacting impulsively gives away power, while patience and measured responses build unshakable authority. They face challenges without panic, insults without anger, and failure without despair. Their strength is invisible to the impatient eye, but it is undeniable to anyone who experiences it, because calmness is not weakness. It is controlled power, concentrated and precise. The warrior of calm does not allow external events to dictate their inner state. Life will always test your patience. People will criticize, betray, or disappoint you. Situations will go wrong, and unexpected hardships will appear. Most people respond with frustration, anger, or despair, allowing the outer world to control their emotions. But the warrior of calm refuses this trap. They observe first, think deeply, and act only when necessary. They understand that every reaction has a cost, and they refuse to waste their energy on trivial battles. By controlling their emotional responses, they maintain clarity, focus, and strategic advantage. Calmness gives them the power to see opportunities where others see obstacles, solutions where others see chaos, and strength where others see weakness. The warrior of calm is also a master of timing. They do not rush to respond because they know that premature reactions often lead to mistakes. They wait, observe, and let the right moment present itself. In doing so, they conserve energy, avoid unnecessary conflict, and make every action count. Impulsive people may act quickly, but they often act poorly. The calm warrior acts with precision and foresight, ensuring that their actions yield the highest possible result. This ability to pause, reflect, and act intentionally is what separates those who succeed in life from those who are constantly reacting to it. Calmness allows them to approach life strategically, rather than being swept along by the tides of emotion. Another aspect of the warrior of calm is emotional resilience. They are not immune to feelings of anger, fear, or disappointment, but they do not allow these emotions to control them. Instead, they channel these emotions into strength. Anger becomes determination, fear becomes preparation, and disappointment becomes motivation. They understand that emotions are energy, and energy is neutral. It only becomes positive or negative based on how it is used. The calm warrior transforms potential chaos into purpose, instability into clarity, and weakness into power. This skill makes them unstoppable. Because they are no longer a victim of circumstance, they are the master of how they respond to it. Finally, the warrior of calm understands that their greatest battles are internal. The battle is not to defeat others, but to conquer self-doubt, impulsiveness, and reactive habits. They strive every day to maintain control over their thoughts and emotions, knowing that this inner mastery translates into external power. The calm warrior's strength is not loud or flashy. It is quiet, steadfast, and unwavering. They do not need to prove themselves through noise or aggression because their presence alone commands respect. Mastery over oneself is the ultimate victory, and the calm warrior achieves this through science, awareness, and disciplined emotional control. In the end, those who cultivate this inner calm are not just survivors. They are unconquerable, unshakable, and unstoppable in every aspect of life. Every transformation, every achievement, every victory begins with one act of mastery over yourself. Before you can influence others, shape your environment, or create success, you must first command your own mind, your own emotions, and your own actions. Most people spend their lives reacting to circumstances, chasing fleeting desires, or allowing external forces to dictate how they feel and behave. They blame the world for their failures. yet ignore the power they hold within. True power begins with self-mastery, the discipline to control your thoughts, the courage to control your emotions, and the wisdom to control your actions. Once you master yourself, the world can no longer control you. Self-mastery requires deep awareness and brutal honesty. You must see yourself clearly, the patterns, the weaknesses, the impulses that have held you back. You must confront your fears without running, acknowledge your anger without letting it rule you, and recognize your desires without being enslaved by them. Most people avoid this work because it is uncomfortable. They prefer to blame circumstances or distract themselves with noise and pleasure. But those who commit to mastering themselves embrace discomfort because they understand that growth always demands it. They cultivate patience, build emotional resilience, and practice discipline daily. Every conscious choice they make strengthens the foundation of their self-command. The practice of self-mastery transforms every aspect of life. When you control your mind, your thoughts become your allies instead of your enemies. When you control your emotions, your reactions become intentional rather than impulsive. When you control your actions, you move with purpose instead of chaos. Life begins to unfold differently. Needies become visible, challenges become manageable, and failures become lessons rather than disasters. You no longer surrender to temporary feelings or external pressures. Instead, you respond with clarity, focus, and determination. Self-mastery turns ordinary people into architects of their destiny, capable of shaping reality instead of being shaped by it. Mastery of self is also mastery over time and energy. When you react impulsively or allow emotions to dominate, you waste precious energy on things that do not serve your goals. You lose focus, create unnecessary conflict, and sabotage your own progress. But when you govern yourself, you protect your energy, direct your focus, and move steadily toward your purpose. The person who has mastered themselves does not squander their mind on trivialities or distractions. They conserve it, sharpen it, and use it to create results. The discipline, patience, and control that come with self-mastery compound over time, creating unstoppable momentum in every area of life. Finally, self-mastery leads to freedom and empowerment. Life will always present tests, challenges, and provocations, but when you are master of yourself, none of them can derail you. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the ruler of your inner world. Every choice you make reflects clarity, wisdom, and control. Every action you take moves you closer to your goals. And with this internal command comes the ability to navigate the external world with confidence, purpose, and influence. Mastering yourself is not a one-time achievement. It is a lifelong practice, a journey of constant refinement and growth. But the reward is incomparable. When you master yourself, you master life itself. Peace, power, clarity, and freedom become your natural state. You are no longer at the mercy of chaos, criticism, or challenge. You stand unshaken, intentional, and unstoppable, capable of creating the life you were always meant to live.